Can you imagine this? You're sneezing and you can't stop. Your eyes are watery. Your nose is also stuffy or sniffly. Well, that could mean your allergies are back. And it's your body's way of reacting to something that's irritating it or attacking it. And there are many causes, many types. But here's the thing, allergies are very common. The severity will vary from one person to another, and there are ways to treat and manage it. We'll discuss them all right here on MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Many of you out there have experienced different types of allergies, and the reactions can range from mild to severe. Pag-usapan natin lahat yan ngayon. Especially now during this time of COVID-19, some of you might have questions or concerns, and we'd like to help answer them. Our guests for today are Dr. Maria Carmela Casala. She's an allergologist from the Medical City. We also have Dr. Fatima Joanna Santos Ocampo, who's also an allergologist, this time from the Makati Medical Center. It's good to have both of you on the show. Now, let's start this discussion first with seasonal allergies o yung tinatawag na allergic rhinitis or sa ibang mga bansa, ito yung hay fever. Dahil maraming apektado panahon na ngayon and we know that the symptoms all too well. And these are nasal congestion, a runny nose, sneezing, and sometimes our eyes get watery, itchy, or even swollen. But many might be wondering, how do you know if you have allergies or the common cold or flu, or even worse, COVID-19? I'll start first with Dr. Casala. Could you explain with us the difference between this?
Okay, well, you were talking earlier about seasonal allergies, no? In the Philippines, hindi masyadong prominent yung pagka-seasonal ang allergies natin, no? Yes, you would have the sneezing, the rhinorrhea, the watery eyes, and all that, no? But in this time of COVID, medyo maraming natatakot, diba, na symptoms ko ba dahil sa COVID or dahil lang ba sa allergies ko? So, or baka naman dahil flu lang or what, no? Well, one thing to remember, COVID-19 and influenza will have fever. Ang prominent sa COVID-19 to remember is fever and cough. And later on, perhaps a little difficulty in breathing, no? So, yung mga difficulty of breathing tsaka fever, hindi naman yan present sa allergies.
And with that, we want to show on the screen again the symptoms of itong mga allergic rhinitis and at the same time, the symptoms of COVID-19. It's a good guide para mabawasan naman ang worrying and hopefully ang stress. Because as we said, itong allergic rhinitis is very common this time of year. Actually, it's pretty common year-round. Now, this question is for Dr. Santos Ocampo. If a person has allergic rhinitis, could that automatically mean that he or she is more prone to having COVID-19?
Oh, that's a very good question. Ano? I'm sure a lot of people have that in their minds, lalo na yung mga allergic. Actually, the studies abroad have shown na no, if you have allergies or asthma, you're not more prone to COVID-19. No? And then maybe, I think there's some data na lumalabas na may tendency pa nga na parang less ang kung makakuha man ng COVID-19 ang taong allergic, baka less severe pa because yung mga tinatawag nating receptors kung saan kumakabit yung mga virus, especially COVID-19, sa cells natin, parang mukhang lumalabas, mas konti siya in people with allergies, no?
So this time of year is the wet season and malapit na rin ang cooler weather for most of us. And that also means na ito yung season ng mold. So mold is also an allergen that grows in moisture inside the house or outside in the soil or in plants. How do we deal with this, Dr. Santos Ocampo? Anong dapat malaman natin mga viewers tungkol sa molds na dapat nilang bantayan?
Molds, tama ka, no? They are one of the airborne or aero allergens na implicated sa pagkakaroon ng allergic rhinitis or pag-trigger ng asthma, ng allergic asthma. Yung nature kasi ng molds, they thrive well in very humid environments. Lalo na pagka ngayon, bantayan nyo, pagka bumagyo, syempre, umuulan, sasara mo yung mga windows mo, no? So, kulob na kulob. So, yun ang challenge sa atin. So, we want to maintain well-ventilated areas in the house para malesen yon, ano?
Again, when it comes to rainy and humid conditions, dust mites can also be a problem. Explain natin ito, Dr. Casala. What are these and how do we get rid of them? How common are they?
Ang dust mite, ibang klase. Hindi lang yan seasonal. The whole year round, we're affected with that. No? So we need to keep what we call a house dust control measures. No? Sometimes also pollen, of course, can be a trigger for seasonal allergies. Yan and molds, yan ang mga importanteng tandaan pag mga bare months.
That's right. So the less clutter we have, the better we are in trying to stay away from these dust mites. Treatment naman ngayon ang pag-usapan natin because let's admit it, the symptoms of allergies can really get in the way of a person's day-to-day activities. Now, I'll start first with Dr. Casala. How do we relieve the symptoms of these common allergies, these allergic rhinitis symptoms?
So yeah, antihistamines can help. And of course, sprays. Depende kung gaano ka-frequent yung problem niya, no? Yung frequency ng mga sneezing or yung mga symptoms niya ng rhinorrhea or congestion or whatnot. You may actually be recommended to have some sprays, nasal sprays, which are actually anti-inflammatory sprays. For a specialized segment of the population, of the allergic population who have been tested, then there is what we call immunotherapy or allergy shots.
Now let's go with Dr. Santos Ocampo. Some antihistamines are non-drowsy, especially the newer ones available. And others, though, will get you sleepy or meron drowsing effect ito. Is there an effect? Does it always mean that one medication is better than the other?
Okay. Nako, thank you for asking that question, ha? Kasi it is a source of confusion in a lot of people, even among doctors. So yung sinabi mo na nakaka-drowsy, they do relieve the symptoms, pero ang problema, they cross into the brain. And that's why they have that effect, sedation or papatulog. So as we improved in time, nakagawa na ng mga bagong antihistamines that are non-drowsy, and there are very good ones out there. And if you're going to compare them to the ones earlier na drowsy or even more effective, I'd say, kasi ngayon, marami ng formula na within 30 minutes, within 20 minutes, it already relieves your symptoms, no?
Now, sometimes people are allergic to certain types of food. We'll take a closer look at food allergies, and we'll also talk about the difference between food allergies and food intolerance. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, and we're here to build a healthier future for you. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Now, when you consume something that you're allergic to, the body responds by launching a lot of chemicals that's meant to protect your body. But unfortunately, it doesn't always happen that way. And what happens is a release of chemicals known as histamines, which causes inflammations, is what happens. Now, Dr. Casala, ano ang mga effects nitong histamine sa ating katawan? And how long is it? What's the time frame before the body reacts?
Some people who are sensitive to that have actually receptors to receive that particular allergen. And once magkita yung allergen at saka yung receptors na to sa IgE, sa may mast cells, nare-release yung histamine nga, no? Which are preformed granule chemical mediators inside our bodies. Kaya nga, logical lang na bigyan kayo ng anti-allergy or antihistamine na medication para subuin yung mga pamumula at mga pangangati na yon.
According to the US FDA, there are 8 most common food allergies. So I'll go over the list real quick. So first is cow's milk, next is eggs, next is tree nuts, peanuts. So for the benefit of our viewers, tree nuts, ito yung mga walnuts, ito yung mga cashews, ito yung mga pistachio nuts, okay? And then we also have shellfish, wheat, soybeans, and fish. So again, the symptoms can be mild to severe. Now, Dr. Casala, I'd like to ask, what could happen if someone suffers from the severe symptoms of an allergic reaction?
The severe form of allergic reaction is what we call anaphylaxis. This is the only true allergic emergency, no, that we are really afraid of. When you take a certain, like say a certain substance, or like pwede namang hindi lang pagkain, no, even medication, and you go into a very severe type of allergic reaction, then yes, you would actually end up what we call with anaphylaxis, no, which is not just one organ involved, but it may involve other organs, and some will even go to anaphylactic shock, wherein BP may even go down, no? Hypotension, tinatawag.
That's right. So anaphylaxis is a medical emergency. So if someone suffers from any of these symptoms, you have to get medical help as soon as possible. Now, Dr. Santos Ocampo, we've also heard of people saying that during first aid with an allergic reaction, they take a teaspoon or a spoonful of sugar, for that matter, to relieve an allergic reaction. Is there some truth to this? Does this really work?
Wala talaga siyang basis. There's no study that showed that it really works, that it does anything for your allergies. You should not do that. You have to use the proper medicine. If it's mild, maybe antihistamines, no? If it's really severe, meron talagang emergency medicine for what Dr. Bambi said, yung anaphylaxis, and that's epinephrine.
Now, although most food allergies develop when you're a child, they rarely develop as an adult, but they do happen sometimes. Dr. Santos Ocampo, I'm sure many want to know, can you outgrow food allergies?
As a matter of fact, yeah. You know, it's a good news, di ba, na there are some foods that you can actually outgrow, no? But not all. Medyo mga 14% or 20% lang ang makaka-outgrow, no? Yung sa mga shellfish, mas mababa pa, no? Usually hindi nila outgrow. Pero yung mga egg, yung mga cow's milk, yan, pwedeng ma-outgrow yan.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, when we talk about treatment for food allergies, antihistamines are common, like what was mentioned earlier. But first things first, you have to, or those with those symptoms have to avoid the foods that you're allergic to. Now, this question's for Dr. Casala. When does a patient consider having allergy shots or consider immunotherapy as a form of treatment for their allergies?
Okay, well, first of all, they have to be already evaluated by an allergist, no? Meaning testings have been done. No? Now, there are allergy skin testing procedures involved, and this may actually pick up what allergens you are sensitive to. Now, when you're talking about immunotherapy, it's very much recommended for those with allergic rhinitis and asthma. However, for food, immunotherapy is not yet too much of a management.
So when there's any question with regards to your treatment of your allergies, always consult your allergologist before you do anything. Now, meanwhile, we have also heard about food intolerance. Dr. Santos Ocampo, ano naman itong food intolerance and how is it different from food allergies?
Ang food intolerance, talaga nga, it's easily confused with food allergies, no? Let's talk about the main difference. Ang food intolerance, pwede na it only comes about, it's an adverse reaction to the food, no? And then, magsisimula siyang ma-experience pag marami yung nakain mo. So, it's dose-dependent. That's what we call it. Whereas, yung allergy naman, kahit kaunti lang, na katiting lang ang nakain mo, pwede ka nang mag-reaction. Pwedeng severe, no? At pwedeng hindi kinain, pwedeng naamoy or nahawakan, no? They have different mechanisms kasi. Ang food intolerance, hindi yan yung sinabi na yung IgE, hindi involved yung mast cell na sinasabi ni Dr. Bambi kanina, hindi involved yung histamine. So, ang food intolerance, more of a chemical reaction na involving other chemicals na nangyayari sa body natin when we ingest those food. So, meron talaga siyang difference, and it's really good to discuss it with the specialist para maging clear on what to do and how to manage it.
Coming up here on Med Talk Health Talk, when do you need an allergy test? And what's that like? Stay with us right here on CNN Philippines. Welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Now, there are different types of allergy tests, and we're going to go through each one with you so that you know what to expect and what's right for you. But first, Dr. Casala would like to discuss first how to prepare. How does one prepare for an allergy test?
Okay, so if your doctor has actually recommended an allergy skin testing be done to you already, the most that we can actually tell you to prepare for is actually to take off your antihistamine medication a week before the scheduled skin testing. Why do we need to do that? Okay, first of all, we must remember that the allergy testing is a provocative test. It's supposed to bring out the your allergies or your sensitivities. The anti-allergy medication or antihistamine works against bringing out that allergy. So that's why we have to have a wash-off period, to be sure, 1 week off, and then we do the testing on the scheduled date. Usually we just do it on the arm, or if there are many allergens scheduled in your panel, then we can do it on the back.
That's funny that you mentioned that because there are 3 types of tests that we actually want to discuss with today. And the first one is called a skin prick test. Now, Dr. Casala, how is this done and when does it work best for the patient?
Okay, the allergy skin test is what we allergists usually recommend when we think of allergies when you're with your patient. So it's usually just done with a drop of allergen extract that's placed on your skin. And then number 2, we do usually scratch that particular allergen test just with a sharp needle, just the tip. It will feel, for some children, it will feel like a sharp pencil. Then we just wait for a reaction to happen in the skin, maybe about 10-15 minutes. And if there's a red induration and a wheal around that particular test, then we will measure that and compare it to a control, a negative saline control and a positive histamine control. And then your allergist will interpret it for you and explain everything to you.
Now, I'd like to ask Dr. Santos Ocampo, how about a blood test? Is there any information from a blood test that is useful for an allergologist?
Meron tayo mga blood tests, no, or what we call in vitro tests, no. There are actually a few brands out there. We also make use of them, lalo na if the patient is not able to go through a skin test. So we opt for the blood test kasi yon, it can be done kahit na hindi siya nag-discontinue ng antihistamine. Comparing though, yung mga, you have to know also how to interpret that kasi may iba-ibang sensitivity yung mga iba-ibang test na yon. Iba yung sensitivity ng blood test sa skin test. So for certain allergens, we say na mas mataas ang sensitivity ng skin test pa rin, no, kaysa sa blood test. Kaya you really have to know what you're doing for which certain allergen you're doing it for.
Now, Dr. Santos Ocampo, there's also what's called a food elimination test. Could you explain this to us as well?
Okay. Naku, yan yung pinakamahirap. Kasi when we talk about food allergens, of course, it is very important na nag-test ka kung pwedeng matest, no? And then, knowing na none of the tests are 100% reliable, so yung sinasabi na you have to correlate it clinically, ang ibig lang sabihin nun, ano nga ba? Nag-positive ka, nag-negative pa. Sa totoong buhay ba? Ay totoo ngang mapuprove na hindi ka magre-react. So yun yung clinical correlation. So that's where your elimination trial comes in. So actually, pwedeng unahin yon kasi minsan just by doing the elimination, tapos nawala yung symptoms mo, parang a very great chance na yun na nga, natanggal mo yung allergen mo. Pero hindi tapos yun, ha? Kailangan, with the guidance, again, of the specialist, ideally, you give it back at ititignan natin kung babalik yung symptoms mo. So yan yung kakabit niya, food elimination, trial, and then challenge test. Yan.
Okay, so this is definitely something you do not want to do at home. Always consult your allergologist when trying to perform these tests. Now, after allergy tests, patients have some mild itching, redness, or maybe even some swelling. But these symptoms get better after a few hours or maybe a few days. But if your symptoms persist, always inform your doctor about that. So we'd like to thank our guests for today, allergologist Dr. Maria Carmela Casala and Dr. Fatima Joanna Santos Ocampo. We appreciate your time so much. And to all of you out there, maraming salamat. We're committed to making communities healthier, especially in this time of COVID-19. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez.